A significant part of Project Jake model is the methods for the collection and labeling of the data element. A registrar may have specific rules about which data must be collected and which is optional. They define what levels of sensitivity are applied to each of the data elements and what level of validation is applied. However, these rules do not exist in a vacuum. Rather, they fit into a hierarchy in which registries, policy bodies, and governments may also have strong views about how these data are processed. But it's also the case that the registrar might have different policies for different types of registrants. A commonly discussed case is how we may treat the so-called natural person, or what we would call real people, as opposed to businesses or legal persons. Another case is where some of the registrants fall into a class that is protected. This group may include celebrities, politicians, or high-profile people for whom even the ordinary protection of privacy is not enough. A third case is where a specific group may need rules different from the rules of others. For example, individuals who are a resident of a particular country, or others who the registrars may want to distinguish on how to treat them based upon whether they are in that group or not. In each of these situations, there may be different rules about what information is collected, the level of validation needed, and the sensitivity of the information when processing it. Different registrars may make different choices about the collection mode that describes what information is collected, and about the validation mode that indicates the confidence level of the data accuracy. Not every registrar has to choose the same rules. However, there may be conditions that can restrict this choice. These conditions fit into a hierarchy in which registries and policy bodies and governments may also have strong views about what is collected and how it is validated in various situations. The agencies in the hierarchy may decide these are our rules and everybody must be subject to them. The other extreme may be, we don't care at all. This isn't our business. You can do whatever you want. And yet, in other cases, the registries or policy bodies may impose some restrictions on registrars, but still leave room for each registrar to choose part of its policy. Some of the data that is collected by registrars is passed up to the registry. Sometimes, depending upon the circumstances, it may be passed to a higher level authority. And what data is passed to the registry turns out to vary depending upon that registry. Registries are generally thick or thin. A thick registry gets more data, but not all of it. For example, all of the financial data and account information collected by a registrar typically doesn't go anywhere beyond the registrar. A thin registry, on the other hand, gets hardly any data passed from the registrar. For example, it may only receive the DNS records, which are shared to make them available through public name servers, and a pointer to the registrar that has the other data. Based on these needs, choices, and restrictions, each subset of registrants may define its own set of collection and labeling rules. We call the distinctions that describe a subset the scope. The scope describes the subset of registrations covered by this policy. A key goal of Project Jake is to describe policies and their related scopes using a common format that can be compared and evaluated in a machine-readable way. A subtle but critical feature of our approach is the ability to represent both actual and proposed policies and to compare their effects. Thus, this system is not simply a method of documenting policies, it's also a tool for comparing and exploring possible policies.